Hey everybody, welcome to another enablement session for Project Kyma. This is the enablement week for Devtoberfest, where we're focused on Kyma. And as part of Devtoberfest, we've done a lot of exercises and we've gone through how to build your own Kyma clusters and deploy them locally, as well as looking at putting them onto a hyperscaler and running them in a data center. And we've even touched a little bit on the fact that SAP Cloud Platform does this, and we'll talk more about that in another session, how to build it up on an SAP Cloud Platform trial. So today, though, I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference of what Kyma is as a project versus an SAP Cloud Platform product. And to do that, I brought in a special guest. I am bringing in Valentin Vieriu. Hello, Valentin.
Hey, Josh. Thank you for having me here.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. So I'm in developer relations, and what we're doing is helping to ramp up for Tech Ed. We're getting people excited about this subject, and they're building different projects in GitHub that are going to actually be on several subjects that we're going to talk about in Devtoberfest, and then everybody's ready for Tech Ed in December. But my role as a developer advocate / evangelist is to be in the relations team, talking to product managers like yourself and people in the community and getting actual, I should actually clarify, are you a product manager? What is your title? What do you do?
Well, not really product manager, but more or less. At least the website is part of my responsibility. But it's because it's the main way of communication with the outside world. I'm a community manager. So my title is community manager.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very specific title. So I'm in charge of trying to engage with the outside world and make the Kyma entertaining enough and informative enough, and basically trying to spread the word. And that's why I'm here. So as a background, I need to make a clear statement. So my background is more from front end. I'm an engineer at the core, but more from front end perspective. The deep technical topics, I think there are other people in the team that take care of that. I'm more in a part of community and social media channels, and also high level topics regarding Kyma, for sure.
Okay. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I'm quite fresh actually. Let me think. I think it's almost 7 months. I joined at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And that's why I already was in the middle of the whole process, but quite exciting. So
Okay.
it's been already feels longer than I guess, because of the situation, feels even longer than only 6-8 months.
For sure, for sure. And I've been talking about Project Kyma for not quite 2 years. First time was in Chicago at a conference. We were
Mm-hmm.
showcasing it, and then it came into things like OSCON, the open source conference, and SAP was promoting it as part of the open source community. So I'm hoping you can explain why we included it as part of Devtoberfest as we go through today's presentation and you showcase where people can learn about the open source Kyma community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I think the whole process, the project started not so long ago. As you said, I think 2000, 2017, I think, was the beginning, and 2018 was the official release.
Okay.
So it's quite, I would say, fresh. But if you think about it, how the rapid pace of cloud native, that's super
Yeah.
old 2 years ago. So it's quite funny because when the whole thing started, most of the cloud native applications were not even built. Kubernetes just started. Knative was not even live. So yeah, back then was a different scenario.
Yep.
So I think it started in a very open source format. Back then in the team that developed the commerce part, and
Okay.
it was more to fulfill some needs of extending commerce. And as I said, Kubernetes was just showing up, and then a new type of, let's say, development starts shaping. And Cloud Native Foundation was just being built. So then there was a time and there were some opportunities for a team that was already working in the microservices. They were extending microservice for commerce, and they said, okay, this needs to be be built, and let's build this proper. So it was a momentum, not like a kind of like the startup. Two people in somewhere in a garage or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a developed team that built before microservices, and then they said, okay, how do we do it the proper way?
Okay.
And that was 2017 probably. And then I think that they put together what are the building blocks, how you build a microservice, what do you need, observability, logging, then all the connections, then you need security. So everything was kind of prepared from the ground up.
Okay.
So it was a quite, let's say, solid. So if you look at the first commit on GitHub, you will probably see a quite, already established project. So funny thing, actually, the release date was quite interesting. The release date of Kyma was exactly the same release date for Knative, and they both released out as open source project together at Google Next 2018, or I think.
Oh, wow.
For my time, but story goes.
Yeah, no, but definitely. So a lot of people probably with Kubernetes community have heard of Knative. They may not have heard of Kyma yet. So it's interesting they came out at the same time.
Actually, we shared a lot. So the Kyma team contributed quite heavily on the Knative code base. So it was a synergy at the beginning. We were trying to figure out where we go. We used a lot Knative code in Kyma. So yeah, it's a classical share ideas, share resources across other open source projects. So that's how it started.
That's the way community should work. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a monolithic software program that you build up and it's proprietary. Those can solve many problems. But when you're working in community, you have the best idea can win, the meritocracy, and a lot more people contributing ideas and having dialogues. So maybe today you can actually show us some places on GitHub where people can contribute, as well as talk about, I'd love to talk about it at first, if you could tell us about the name Kyma and where it came from.
Yeah, well, I think it's a quite often question, because I mean, it was not easy. I actually was a huge couple of weeks debate, what name to choose. It was at the beginning, I remember it was something like, Lucy, Fusion, Wormhole. I mean, some crazy names. But then I don't know if you noticed, but in this cloud native environment, you have very nautical themes like Kubernetes, Istio. You have also the logos are very either is like a wheel or a boat or something like this. And Kyma is actually wave in Greece. So
oh yeah, when you share your screen we can put that on the logo, because it does kind of look like a wave.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Yeah, that's a good point. Now, by the way, you can even see it here on the homepage, right? Those are some of the projects that we are using, right? You see water, Sail, Istio, Kubernetes, Knative is a K, Valero, and very funny, like there are a lot of K names. So Knative, Kubernetes, and so on. So yeah, was a tough one, but I think I'm personally, I love the logo from the beginning, and also the wave, and it's a little bit hard to pronounce because but it's called Kyma. So
yeah, it is not a native English speaker's tongue for sure. So I'm not sure. We in America, everybody I introduced it to said it incorrectly as Kyma.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a little bit. Actually, we even said it here how to pronounce it, because. But anyway, we're
not trying to give people. It's not that it's a problem to give people an English language lesson on how to pronounce a Greek word. So it's there in writing for people to see, but it's also interesting that the Kubernetes community didn't grab this up earlier, because it is a really good name.
Yeah. Actually, there were. It's a good name, true. Well, fun enough, how many people ask them, kubectl, how do you say kubectl, kubectl? I mean, the naming is a little bit.
And do you say Kubernetes when you see K8'S, or do you just say K8?
Yeah, that's a hard one for sure.
Exactly.
What I wanted to say is that at the beginning, you were talking about the history of open source and how we started, how we inspired each other. And when we started, and I wanted to show this, is we started with a quite solid and very thoughtful base for our project. So, for example, if you go here in the collaboration, you will see we started with a foundation that allows scaling. We inspired a lot from the Kubernetes, and actually some of the if you ever seen the Kubernetes structure, which is it's a massive project compared to us. They are having special interest group. They have special working group. They have a committee. They have so they have a lot of tools and meetings and that allows them to have a decision making that is spread across, and the decision makers are also, being able to challenge. There's a certain time when you propose an idea. So it's really, really. So if it was before my time, but if you have a look at our collaboration and governance topic, you will see very, very interesting. Even we have like a decision process, how the decision goes and how many weeks you have to wait. So people that are, can contribute asynchronously, not, oh, we have a decision and you have to do it by tomorrow. No, that probably will not work. So we started with a very good baseline, and we are continuing that also right now.
And I know you weren't ready for this question, but how is that process managed? Is it done on GitHub, or is there some other management tool that you guys use?
So we are using,
I see it's a
GitHub.
Decision board there.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we are on GitHub. We actually have two organizations. So we have the Kyma project organization, which is the main one, where you will find most of our projects, like Kyma and the one that are, let's say, the mature ones and the one that are production. And then we have a Kyma incubator organization. So we use these organizations to also distribute work, but the process and the automatization behind them are the same, and the way we approve things, maybe it's a little bit looser in the Kyma incubator, but then as things get serious, we promote them in the Kyma project. So those are the two organizations that we are using.
Okay.
And it's a completely open. We choose not to at the beginning to have it separate. It's separate projects because actually some of them become, for example, like Octopus. It's an interesting test framework that we developed ourselves for our use cases, but then this become useful for other people. And one of our most tweeted and read blog posts was about how we created this, because there was no way to completely test the cloud native application or in the right way back when we started.
Yeah.
So some of them become like standalone projects.
Of course. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that other people could benefit from it in other tool sets that they just didn't know there was a solution to a problem they didn't realize they had.
Yep. Yep.
Just looking here real quick, I see the website is the same though, kyma-project.io, but both repositories are different on GitHub.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because they are under the same umbrella. You see the same logo. We just choose different projects or organization, because we allow here, we have a process of becoming a team member, because when you're a team member, you can create branches and you can it's a little bit more responsibility. So then it's also a process of becoming a member in one team and becoming a member in the other. So that's the reason. It is a little bit easier to propose a project here. Actually, anyone can come, and it's just a matter of creating an issue and say, hey, I think this new project could be beneficial for Kyma. I want to give it a try. Here's the name. And then there's approval process where it's okay, fine. We create this, and then, it lives up. But the moment you create it, you become the code owner, you have some responsibilities there. But it's a little bit easier. The Kyma project, it's a little bit harder because we have production ready code. We want to maintain it a little bit more.
Okay.
structure. Yeah.
And that may be a good time to ask, maybe not, but there is, or to point out, there's a big difference between how Kyma project is out there in the community and people contribute to it versus SAP's normal code set and the productive things that we sell at SAP. But it's the same code base. I was talking to another one of your colleagues, and it is the same when Kyma is released. It's the same code set we use at SAP in our production version.
Exactly the same. So there's
but
no
somebody could
difference.
take
And
it
actually,
yeah,
it's a good point in a way, because when we started this project, I mean, we started, the main team was part of SAP. So it was, from SAP starting up. And we had in mind, as we tried to make it an enterprise ready solution, also security was in mind. All those checks, automation, all of that are built in. So we have pipeline, special pipeline. We invest a lot of time to check the Docker images for security. We have a process. So everything is part of that. That's why it was quite easy to have this as an official product that SAP runs in production. Yes. Yep. So all of that, and the code is exactly the same. There's no difference. The release might be behind because we want to, stabilize it. So we might have sometimes like deployed 2 releases behind, but most of the time we are aligning them one-to-one.
And they come out pretty fast, which is nice to see an organization like SAP using open source code and then taking these releases that come out pretty rapid. It's not like it comes out once every 6 months.
No, actually, if I look here, let me see. I think we have close to 194 releases.
In 2 years.
Very soon we get to 100 in 2 years. So usually we kind of release once per month, but sometimes faster, depending if it's a patch release, right? So we have patches, but depending now. Sometimes, for example, in the last month, we had to upgrade to Helm 3 and other, major topics. So then those need a little bit more time to, to stabilize, because as you said, the same code, goes in production. So it needs to be production ready code.
Yep. And as we've talked about during this Devtoberfest week, it gets pretty technical pretty quick, because you're doing the infrastructure, the plumbing, to set up your extension and integration messaging story and how you're doing serverless. And so these are things that are very complex to run and manage. And I like to say, if you go back to the first page you were on, or at least the front page with all the different open source project icons, this is one of the things Kyma does well, is it's bundling all of these things together in one spot that you could also go out on your own and bundle.
Well, that's true, but actually this is the half of the story. Actually, this is handpicked by us. If you want to see the whole story, you should go to the Cloud Native Foundation landscape, right?
I didn't want to drive you to another thing this quick, but if you're ready to jump into it, that looks great.
This is the real story, right? When you have to build your own project, you have to, come here and say, okay, well, I need a service mesh, I need an API gateway, I need a serverless, I need and then, there are so many options here. I think this page looks way better. So basically when we started Kyma, funny enough, that page was quite empty, right? It was only Kubernetes part of the landscape. So we had to pick some of the technologies that we needed, because how would you do, you have to pick Grafana, Prometheus for logging and so on. So you have a couple of needs for an application to be called cloud native, to be scalable and so on. So we start picking some of the technologies, and funny enough, those become part of the landscape, because we picked the one that were the most mature and proper. But it's a hard one. So I think this is one of the biggest value proposition is, you might look at Kyma and said, okay, it's complex. It is complex because it needs to cover all this enterprise scenario and scale. But if you would have to do it by yourself, good luck.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a CentOS versus somebody else, publishing a different version of Linux that's certified.
Yeah. So we are evolving. So we start with some when we started, this was more of an extensibility story. So we try to extend our commerce, and we build the application in a way that is easy to be extended. Now, as we progress and we have now production ready, hundreds of clusters live, we start to seeing other topics. Okay, maybe we are too heavy. Maybe we need to get a little bit more lightweight. Maybe the solution that we use for logging was a little bit too intensive. We need a lighter version. So we adapt. So we pick and we cherry pick but the advantage, because we offer it as a package, you don't have to worry about. As we change the project that we are using for end user is completely transparent and upgradable, and we have to change. So this scenario where as we moving to Kyma 2.0 will probably look different. So we have to change on a regular basis. So that's something
I would ask a question here about people who've been watching our enablement sessions for Devtoberfest, maybe traditional ABAPers and HANA programmers, and they're learning about some of the stuff with serverless now and with what Kubernetes can do versus other technologies like Cloud Foundry. And maybe they love this and they want to help contribute, but they don't think it's something they can because they're not an SAP employee. What's the state? How do we feel about that?
It's absolutely no issue with this. Actually, we try to create a diverse as possible environment. We have weekly backlog checks, and everything which comes as issue as a pull request from outside. Actually, we prioritize that top because we want the voices of people from outside to be
nice. So you have a customer influenced project.
Exactly. We do have a very big base. It is SAP employees, so there's no you look at the Git commits and you see people who are contributed. So, but we are open to everyone. There's a clear process, a normal one. You just come in, create an issue, or you take one issue and you create a pull request. You do have to sign a CLI, but this is a standard more in the context of, as you do with Google and others, to agree that, okay, you're not going to sue us the moment you are going to produce the code, but the licenses are completely open source.
Yes.
So after that, there's a review process, and we have on a regular basis 50 plus pull requests, issues, and so on.
Okay.
Approve. We have a build pipeline, checks the quality, and so on. So you don't have to worry so much. It's very, very hard to break anything. And after all is green, then people are evaluating your request. So I think the process is as normal as any other project.
Okay.
It is a little bit more slower because we will have to create clusters for you, and as you do a pull request, it will take some time until we validate everything. But it's as normal as any project. And I will actually encourage people that are not so, because it can be challenging. We use Go in most of our applications, so it's a modern language, but the project can be a little bit maybe intimidating. So that's why I would recommend people that are trying to contribute, maybe to look a little bit in the mini project that we are using internally for Kyma, which are in the Kyma incubator, and maybe pick some of those. Those are a little bit smaller in size, but still, for example, complex enough that they have even their own logo. So
nice.
Yeah, exactly. See the theme, the same, right?
Yeah. Another Greek word as well. It's small boats. That's interesting.
Exactly. So,
nice. I would say real quick, I don't mean to derail you, but a lot of this is on GitHub, but it's also found in other places, right? So they start small and they watch these sessions on our YouTube channel for SAP developers, and then they want to get more content. Is you posting videos here in the Kyma GitHub site? Or the Kyma website?
No. Actually, we do have a blog post. We have a blog section, so that would be one. But we do have, you're right, a YouTube channel. the way, I mean, we have some tutorials here also. But mostly what we try here to do is to completely, give you insights into our working and our decision making. So if you look here, all of our, we have those updates and core SIG meetings where we present some ideas and then we kind of debate and present arguments, how the decision making is happening. Also, we have these community meetups where on a regular basis, new features are being presented, maybe POCs are being presented, which as they evolve, they become part of the application. So people can jump in and see and contribute to the backlog. I think the YouTube channel is more towards that, but we do have also some tutorials in here.
Okay. Yeah, we've got tutorials that are coming as well. I think
very soon we will add more on the hands-on and application.
Yeah, and I've talked to other people on the Kyma team, and they said there's tutorials coming out very soon because SAP has the developers.sap.com site. Recently, there was a community page launched for Kyma, so a lot of stuff is now these artifacts are starting to be created internally at SAP, and we're publishing them externally.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, if you go into the contribution part here, somewhere at the very bottom, they are basically the collaboration. Sorry.
Okay.
They are the meetups in here and also the working groups. So we will, for example, very soon start another one exactly on this topic to create those applications. That are complex enough, and all of those will be recorded for future use. Very similar to what you guys doing right now. So how would you build it? What would be the steps? And exactly in that matter.
Nice. Okay. I think that takes care of the Kyma website and how to navigate it at a high level. And you mentioned YouTube. What about social media? Is there anything you want to mention there? Like any other? Is there Twitter or Slack or places to talk?
Actually, yeah. So we are very active in the Twitter. So most of our messaging it's out there. I think it worked quite well for us. We have an active community there. Also, when you have questions, you can address them there. But Twitter is not the most useful, way to interact long time. It's just we share a link, we share a message, but we use a lot Slack. So we have here Slack. Our Slack channel.
Okay.
Where actually I would start there as a beginning, where you ask the questions. We have structured them on different channels, serverless, installation, CLI, and so on and so on. So whatever it is your challenge, you first go to Slack and ask the questions. And then if things become a little bit more serious and it's for sure it's an issue or something, then you probably will file an issue on GitHub. But first of all, just drop on our Slack channel. That's the most used, and also limited support with not SLA used there.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
That's good.
So that's for open source also.
Okay. What next? We'll make sure we touch on everything to give people an overview of how this open source project is a little different than the cloud platform product. Anything else we need to touch on?
Well, I would say that as change is a constant. So everything, as we speak, we are putting the building blocks for Kyma 2.0. What does it mean? What are the main challenges? And as people are watching and trying the application right now, they can already have opinion. Like, how is the developer experience? We know we have to improve that, and I think that. Contributing and creating and giving us feedback, that's the most important part that I would want to see from our users, and that's something I want to take advantage of the channels that we have there and ask the people, hey, you're first time users now, you're seeing how this works, maybe you're understanding, maybe you have questions, just come to us and let's make this one better. And as we move for Kyma 2.0, we want to capture all the feedback that we can from our contributors and also from our users to improve it. So it's very exciting. I'm only for 6 months in this project. I'm completely amazed about the tools and the processes that we have in place to allow for open source contribution, decision making. It's really inspiring to work in open source.
Nice. Awesome. I can't thank you enough for your time. I think that as Devtoberfest is wrapping up and we're going into Build Week in a couple of weeks, people are going to love hearing more about this project. And then I think with after TechEd, even more announcements will come, and 2.0 coming out, the volume of people using Kyma and being exposed to it from SAP and outside of SAP is going to really grow and take off.
Yeah. And to be honest, what I want to say is that if you want to contribute and if you see some value here, it doesn't need to be only cloud native application. It doesn't need to be only Go. And for example, we maintain our websites, and this is something that we are very proud of, and it's a very modern framework. We also have micro front ends with Luigi, and we also have documentation. So there's various way of contributing and also improving this. If you like it and if you like to use it, you can also help contributing at those small details. They don't need.
So I know what Luigi is because I work here and I know people, but so for those who just heard you say that, they might have no clue. What do you mean when you say you have a micro front end with Luigi?
Well, for example, funny enough, Luigi is another open source project which Kyma uses. I think you just go to Luigi project.io. This one came out of actually from our own needs. So as we developed the backend or the console interface, we ended up using different technologies. React, we use Angular, and so on. So we have to wrap them into one central UI. And then I was okay, well, this looks like an interesting project. And then, Luigi kind of shaped, and we say, hey, this is so powerful that can be used outside of Kyma. And we extract it outside, and this become its own project. Now they have their own GitHub repository, and with their own process. So it's a separate team now. Actually, no, we share resources from our team also contribute, but it's a standalone project that runs open source. So
nice.
That's one of the beautiful part. You have an idea, becomes an incubator here, then that maybe be shaped into a completely new project. And like Luigi, just now it's they have their own goal, and other completely non-cloud native application, they use this framework.
Nice. Very cool. No. So I knew there was more under the covers. That you just say quickly something about Luigi. Kyma Luigi, we're hosting SAP. I mentioned it in my exercise that I hosted earlier this week, that we have Luigi and Kyma. They don't realize Luigi's there, all hosted on top of Gardener. So I did a little showcase of how to launch a cluster on Gardener, because people don't need to know sometimes what infrastructure is there or what's running when they're just trying to extend their front-end application.
Yeah.
So these are all different pieces that are stacking together to make containerized applications more efficient and grabbing that outside data from SAP and other sources. So very cool stuff. Didn't mean to derail it and make a Luigi demo there, but that's very nice.
No. It is. We're talking about open source, and it was very well brought because that's what it is. You build those projects and become alive on their own. And I think this could happen with any of those projects in here.
No, for sure. And the way that people, interact with Fiori and UI5 and Angular and React, these are front-end technologies accessing back-end data and to do transmission of different things and messaging back and forth and opening up APIs and setting user roles to talk to those APIs. These are complex things that we've been talking about all week, and they're all based on open source technology. So
yeah.
Very powerful. All right. I have nothing else. I don't know if you have any other questions or statements you want to wrap up with, or you can stop sharing your screen and say goodbye.
Yeah, I think we cover some of the stuff. I hope we kind of showed a little bit from the background of how Kyma came to be, and a little bit understanding the inner workings, how we use those two different organizations, and then how can you contribute a little bit. You don't have to start big with a big project. You can pick one of the smaller ones from the incubator. You can, if you have ideas, the first propose them as an incubator project, as a standalone. Some of those ideas that you guys develop there might become a part of the incubator.
Yeah.
And then you just come in, create a issue, and it's as simple as that. There's a clear process that it's actually documented on our website. Gets approved, becomes a project there. People contribute.
Nice.
It may have a life of its own and become something like Luigi, or becomes part of the project of the Kyma, the main Kyma project, and gets.
So in addition to judging a project that someone builds for Devtoberfest, that could actually be migrated over to an issue in your community, and you could actually end up adding that to the code. Nice.
Yes, can be added. So it's as simple as creating an issue and says, hey, I think this is a valuable thing. Would you want to pick it up? And we will decide that. I see no reason.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So that's a good call to action. Instead of just entering Devtoberfest for the fun of it and happy coding, it's also to get to be able to contribute to an active project.
And actually, what's very important one, maybe that's also something that it's a good actionable item. So as I said, we started big, and automation is our main thing. We have automatic build pipelines. We have our own Kubernetes Pro monster that runs all our tests. We are using automating websites building with Netlify and others. So we have I think that also, if you just jump in and look into our code base, how we build it, how a robot comes and first asks you the questions. You can use all of those are best practices. Maybe you don't feel it right now, but as you start growing and you have how many repo? I think we have 50 plus per organization. You need those. So this can also be something that you come in, check one of the repository, pick one of the small one, Varkes or other, and see how we do it. I think that's also very actionable item for the viewers.
Cool. Well, from a very nice day here in Philadelphia, I forgot to ask, where are you located?
I'm Munich, Germany.
Nice. Okay. Well, hello to you.
Your winter started, so can get gray.
Right behind you, as is Devtober season. So Devtoberfest is around the Oktoberfest season. So we just entered into it gets down to 4 degrees centigrade here sometimes. So,
well, yeah, for Munich, it's a little bit sad because Oktoberfest was canceled this year. So, it's a sensitive topic, but, next year, hopefully.
No, it's a different environment for sure. And that's why we're doing a remote session for TechEd. Everything is virtual this year, but virtual content with a lot more creative, original things being produced to keep people engaged. So while it is a little sad, it's also very encouraging because we're coming up with things like this. So thank you very much for participating. And I will talk to you during Devtoberfest on the chat windows.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, Valentin.